Hi, my name is Kristen Madden. As the archivist at the History Museum, I know that photos are a great way to document our history. From a 1920s photo of a child playing in the snow to a digital image of a new business opening, pictures help tell our history. Please join me as we take a look back at some of the vintage photos in our collection.
Hello everyone. Today we're going to take a look at 7 parks from South Bend and learn a little bit about the history of each one. Originally called Springbrook Park, the grounds opened in 1880 as a trolley park, which were picnic and recreation areas that were along trolley lines of a lot of large cities. They were the precursors to today's amusement parks and were usually made by the trolley companies to get people to use their streetcars. Within the next 30 years, Springbrook would have a casino, exhibition hall, and a roller coaster, and in 1916 a racetrack was added. In 1924, Pete Redden took over as manager of the park and held a contest to rename it and its roller coaster. The ride would be renamed the Jackrabbit, and Springbrook Park would forever be called Playland. Within the confines of the racetrack was the park's baseball field. In the 1940s and 50s, the South Bend Blue Sox, part of the All-American Girls Professional Baseball League, would play there. On July 20th, 1952, a NASCAR race was held on the track. Within the grounds was a dance hall that hosted such legends as Cab Calloway and Duke Ellington, who brought in as many as 3,000 people on the weekends. In 1961, Playland closed its doors and was converted into a lighted par 3 golf course. It closed after 40 years and was leveled to make way for Indiana University South Bend student housing. All that remains of the park today are a part of its grandstands. Howard Park is South Bend's first and oldest park. The land was named in honor of Judge Timothy Howard, who served as a city council member, state senator, and chief justice of the Indiana Supreme Court. Judge Howard went on to become president of the Northern Indiana Historical Society, now known as the History Museum, and wrote a comprehensive history of St. Joseph County. The land the park resides on was once a floodplain and was considered a health hazard due to the amount of malarial insects that lived there. Because of this, the city spent the next 17 years filling in the swampy land and had a seawall installed. The park was officially opened August 18, 1899. On July 21, 1906, John M. Studebaker donated a 20 feet tall bronze fountain that was electrified, which was extremely rare for the time. Sadly, within 35 years, the fountain was removed due to disrepair. It briefly resided at a golf course before parts of the fountain became privately owned. The fountain was recently restored and placed in its new home in Leeper Park West. In 1887, members of the community proposed the idea of the Studebaker family donating land to make a new park on the south end of the city. By 1890, the construction of the park was underway, with the Studebaker family having donated part of the land from their farm. In 1909, Mr. Herman Meyer, superintendent of the parks, had a large group of men begin working on improvements to the grounds that included new paved walkways and landscaping of trees, shrubs, and flowers. During the years of World War I, part of the park was converted into vegetable gardens. They were planted and run by children from different schools in South Bend for the purpose of having fresh food for those who were unemployed in the city. In 1919, the park was converted into a golf course, which it has continued to be for the last 100 years. Leeper Park began when a tract of land east of Michigan Street and south of the St. Joseph River was designated in 1895 by the city of South Bend for the purpose of increasing the capacity of the city's waterworks. In 1902, a large portion between Michigan Street and Lafayette Boulevard was donated by Elisha Peck. In its earliest years, Leeper Park was designed for public enjoyment that included hosting concerts and establishing a zoo, a lily pond, and tennis courts. Peck's addition to the park was soon connected to the east side, and formal landscaping was underway. An elaborate drinking fountain, donated by Mary P. Moody Bugbee, was installed in 1905 on the west side. This was soon joined by the east and west lagoons, dug in 1907. The East Lagoon featured a wooden bridge and water lilies, and the West Lagoon eventually became Leeper Park Duck Pond. The zoo drew the greatest numbers, with hundreds of visitors daily. When the zoo animals were transferred in 1915 to a new facility in Potawatomi Park, the ducks and other waterfowl were left at the duck pond, still considered part of the zoo. The pond was improved with the addition of a concrete curb around its perimeter in 1915. Later improvements include an ornamental fence in 1922 and the addition of a pair of mute swans in the 1950s. The park was named the city's first historic designed landscape landmark by Historic Preservation Commission in 1996. In 1889, Alexis Coquillard offered 100 acres to the city for the development of a new park. He also had proposed a layout for the park, planting trees on the lot and grading the land for boulevards, walks, and drives. Unfortunately, Coquillard passed away the following year, and his gift of land was not accepted by the city until 1906, though only 10 acres was to be used. Coquillard Park's inclusion in the city is first described in a summary of the condition of the park systems of South Bend at the close of 1906 from the report of Herman H. Beyer, the park superintendent for that year. It states, "The year 1906 was marked by numerous park extensions in South Bend. The city acquired in the past year approximately 78 acres of park property, distributed as follows. Coquillard Park, comprising 10 acres, secured by the city in the settlement of the old Coquillard Park litigation. The ground is in the northeastern part of the city on East Campow Street." The grounds that now consist of Rum Village Park are rumored to have been a gift from the United States government to Chief Topinabee or his sister Kakima of the Potawatomi. In the early to mid-1800s, the Ewing family purchased the land from Kakima's family for $1.33 an acre, a total of $800. In 1871, Mary Louise Ewing married Peter Everest Studebaker, and the land was then transferred to the Studebaker family. The land was then divided, part being used for development of a factory that would eventually become the grounds of AM General. In the 1920s, with the ever-growing rise of industry in the area, land was at a premium and the grounds of Rum Village Park lay unused. It was during this time that Willis Bugbee, son of Almond Bugbee, began pleading with local civic groups to save the land from industrialization. The city began to lease the land from the Studebakers, and it was finally purchased for use as a park towards the end of World War II. While being leased, the Work Progress Administration, also known as the WPA, began improvements to the grounds that included the 1-mile circuit road that can still be used in the park today. With its unusually hilly terrain and old trees, the Rum Village Park is home to over 100 species of birds and is the ideal spot for hiking and off-road biking. As part of Rum Village Park, Storyland Zoo opened on June 8, 1957, with more than 3,000 people in attendance. The zoo was designed with a storybook theme and had such animals as sheep, pigs, and cows, but one of the most memorable elements of the zoo was a miniature train that ran through the park. The train was donated by the Fraternal Order of Police, and the cars were shaped like animal cages. Unfortunately, due to the rising cost of maintenance, and increasingly lower attendance at the park, Storyland closed June 1st, 1981, and the buildings were demolished shortly afterwards.
Thank you for joining me today. This program is a part of our Look Back series. You can find more vintage photos at historymuseumsb.org. Just click on the Look Back icon on our homepage. We're always interested in adding more images to our archives, whether photographs or digitals, from 100 years ago or today. So please contact me if you're interested in donating to our collection. See you next time!